Hi everybody, it's Shawn coming at you, planetfitnessalberta.com. How is everyone tonight? Well, I'm up in Toronto, and every time I come up, to any big city like Toronto, Toronto's pretty amazing. You always get epiphanies. You kind of get moments that, you get an epiphany. You just get some real thoughts when you're looking at buildings and the architecture, that's around Toronto. Some of the men that, built some of these buildings and some of the ideas that they must have come up with, just incredible, really incredible. But I've had a couple of epiphanies myself, through Toronto. I don't know how many times I went by fitness centers. I'm not going to name brands, but many, many clubs that I've drove by today. And quite honestly, I had a cab ride today and I had to get out of the cab because it was just too slow and it was quicker to walk. And I've walked a lot. And I had this epiphany. I had an epiphany about why 64% of us Canadians are overweight. Obesity, the new word obesity in Canada, why we're, I've got clients 500 pounds plus, and I'm not saying looking down on anybody, but why is this happening? Why are most of us overweight? Why are most of us scrambling to figure out ways to lose weight, whether it be ketogenics or whatever it be? Like, what is going on that 64%, if you're hearing me right now, of Canadians, us, are overweight? Well, I had this epiphany, again, I'm riding in a cab and I had to literally get out of the cab. It was quicker for me to walk, and I've been walking a lot in Toronto, and I love to walk. Walking is one of the most amazing things that really brings ideas to your mind, and it's just so healthy. But I've been walking a lot, and here's my idea is this. My epiphany is a restaurant, okay? Talk about brands, a lot of you know that I'm here, fighting a trademark war, but brands, when you come up with, what I really think is, we get a restaurant, and, you walk to the restaurant, 2 kilometers. 2K restaurant. You walk 2 kilometers and you eat, and then you walk 2 kilometers back home, and obesity possibly would be cured. That we need to literally spend energy, expel energy to get our food, and we need to expel energy to actually get home, like we did in nature, being hunter-gatherers. Being up in Toronto, I love the city, but honestly, when you look around, it's crazy, it really is crazy. A lot of it, I love it. I really do have fun here, but on the other hand, we're not living anything people like we used to live. Our ancestors, hunter-gatherers. We went out, we had to get up, obviously we had to get out of bed and go find food. Calories made sense years ago because, expelling energy, calories in, calories out. I've heard that, my whole trip here in Toronto, right, in the airport, I've talked to quite a few people, about diet, nutrition. It was really interesting. It's been a really interesting trip. But, calories in, calories out. But, think about it. We have to actually walk to the restaurant. What if you just walk to a restaurant? And, there you go again with, the climate. It's been really amazing here in Toronto with just beautiful weather, tropical weather actually the last 2 days. I guess they haven't had that. But, imagine walking to get your food and then walking home after you get your food. Would we be obese? And realistically, look around people. Trillions, and I'm talking trillions of dollars are being spent for you and I to keep lean, be lean, and the whole commercialism of this whole thing that is fitness. And as I said, I've walked by at least 3 brands, main brands here, literally 30 health clubs I've seen in just a few days I've been here. And quite honestly, obesity is not cured, nor is it anywhere close to getting better. It's getting worse and worse and worse every year. So my idea basically is a restaurant that you walk to and you walk home. Let's brand that. That's Shawn, planetfitnessalberta.com. Just some thoughts. Everybody have a good day. I'm doing well. I'll be home back to Alberta soon. Take care. Bye-bye.